Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. It's a great honor to have so many people here. I wish it wasn't one day before National Resistance Day here in Athens, and we would have more people. But at least you're the great ones for being here. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for that. So it's our first digital event, let's say. So it's in person, but at the same time, there are people joining through the Hopping app. I think it would be best to start off by saying some things about Product 360. So as you might know, Product 360 is a community around product and how product teams work together with the marketing department, with the data science, with engineering, with the design, in order to basically support all these departments and come up with a nice product, a nice solution, and help the company and the business grow. Our plans are to have more events like this, and eventually perhaps to have one at the end of the year. I mean, end of summer, which could be a 1 or 2 day event around products. And I would like to thank our sponsors, Orpheum and efood, for supporting the event. And the supporters, which is Digital Giraffes, Product Community Greece, and Techstars Startup Digest Athens. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got all the previous webinars there. We will record this session as well and upload it after the event. You can get all our news on our LinkedIn page and follow our Meetup group. So for today, our speakers are Konstantinos Giamalis, he's the Chief Product Officer of efood, and George Yanakeas, the founder and CEO at Maya Insights. They both have a lot of experience in fast-growing companies. efood was acquired some years back from Delivery Hero, and George has been working for many companies that have been acquired. One of them was efood, Polfis as well, if I'm not mistaken. He's also working for and consulting companies like Welcome Pickups and many other. I'm the host, so I'm Secretary Flex, the product director, product growth director at Orpheum, and I think it would be best to start off the presentation. So, Konstantinos, would you like to take over?
I will continue in English.
Yes.
Okay. So at first, as you can see in the meme, we build it, and the inside job with the attendants. We build them, they didn't come. Anyway, there is a traditional mantra in a product that says that you have to build it and somehow they will come. And what have we seen through the years is that this is not working, because we might be obsessed with product management and how to build great stuff and how to develop fancy solutions, but there is more, and you need to be closely working together with teams like marketing, where they contribute in growth more significantly than just putting out features or whatever you build in the product.
I think this is the slide I saw, and I thought, like, if I bring two great speakers, then everybody will show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. This is a live example of this. Don't do events on the 27th of October. We can talk for the day tomorrow.
No, we're not about
that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better. We can talk for the 28th of October as well if you want, because I'm history aficionado. So there is context in here. Anyway, let's start with some basic concepts that we would like to introduce. The first one is the current state in Greece. Small companies do not have product, so most of the features coming from the business directly or from the marketing directly. Back in 2015, we were together with George in efood, and there was no product. George was responsible for for the product and the marketing. So we had everything in one place, while in big companies, product is another function which is closely to tech, while marketing is a function that's closely to business. So there are, in small companies, there is no product. In big companies, there are silos with all the stakeholders management and all the conflicts that exist between two different departments. So we've seen through the years that the conversion rate is a metric that can help those two teams work together, because conversion affected is a calculated metric which affects sessions and transactions. And a big part of sessions comes from the marketing, who handles the marketing budget. And if the company has, let's say, a good performance team, then they directly affect product's conversion rate as well, while product affects the marketing conversion rate as well. For example, we've seen in efood that if you, on product, if you increase your conversion rate by 1%, then marketing budget optimized by 5%, because the product is highly connected with the sources, because visitors are coming through them. So if you optimize your product, you optimize the marketing budget as well. And the next one is for the legendary, let's say, term of product sense, is a sense for product marketers, where you have to have product sense, etc. But it's a vague term, and we've seen through the years that you cannot have product sense, especially in marketplaces or in fast-growing B2C platforms, without having commercial sense. And marketing is a good marketing team can provide you a tremendous commercial sense, which will help you become a better product manager and deliver more impact, let's say, and not just features and outputs. George, you want to add something?
Yeah, of course. When we talk about marketing product now, we're talking obviously for digital businesses, not product in the sense it is sold in a supermarket, because in that case, it's 100% the responsibility of marketing. The differentiation comes because of the lack of understanding of most marketing professionals of what tech has to enable and all the difficulties and intricacies of the tech development world. So in the digital ecosystem, usually those have diverged, whereas on a traditional business, FMCG goods, marketing is 100% responsible for product. And in my case, and in my understanding at least, when I was a student, it was the first thing we were taught in marketing. Marketing is like the four P's of marketing. The first is product. So actually, in my mind, what we are selling and what experience the users have when visiting our websites, our apps, etc., are marketing, because we're talking about the consumer and the experience he has on the page or the app. For example, if you take 20 seconds to load a page, it is a tech issue, definitely. It is a product issue, but it's a marketing issue. We're giving a user, we're giving a visitor, a potential client, the worst experience possible. So I consider it like marketing in the sense, even though it's 100% technical issue, okay? Conversion rate as well. So practically conversion rate, optimizing through technical implementation, front-end things, checkout flows, or subscription funnels and stuff like that. At the end of the day, you optimize the marketing measures, but this is part of marketing. So I want to differentiate a little bit. When we're talking about marketing, we say digital marketing mostly, we focus on that, since everybody here is very much that. When we say product, we need super tech product. It is 100% correlated in my mind. So if you're spending any kind of money, doing any kind of initiative to increase your traffic or your visitors, your revenue actually, and the true metric is not conversion rate, is value delivered, as in revenue, profit, things like that. Those are the hardcore metrics. Conversion rate is something very important, but it's a metric, it's not a KPI. So practically focusing on that is important to a certain degree, but the most important output is what you bring to the business, the revenue, okay? So practically, just to have a common understanding, product is influenced by the quality of traffic or users you get on the site, and vice versa. So what you have to offer is dependent on the volume of traffic you're getting, okay? So the quality of people coming in the website is so divergent that getting a single metric to justify your actions is myopic, okay? So let's take the example of conversion rate, for example. And you have your CEO say, okay, it's 1%, our conversion rate is 1%. We need to increase it to 1.5. As everybody who has worked with data might know, it's a blended metric. And when I listen to that, I kind of get like my hair twitching, because what kind of conversion rate? Conversion rate in people that were searching for your brand, conversion rate from organic traffic on a blog post, conversion rate from paid advertising that was targeting exactly your keywords. The acquisition source is dependent on the conversion rate. Okay.
Let's keep Facebook campaigns and it will go 3%.
Yeah, so by doing differentiation in your acquisition strategy, you can just change your conversion rate. If you stop your display ads, the conversion rate will skyrocket. Thank you. Job well done. Job well done. The problem is that most people that are involved in this type of decisions don't understand the spectrum and the intricacies of those kinds of problems. So building something and then hoping to get traction has two aspects that I want to discuss. One is building features in existing products, which is very, very relevant to everybody here. So what we decide to build and where we focus our resources, our tech resources, our design resources. In general, the time of the company, what kind of features we are trying to build. Usually I was like a feature killer. Now that I have my own business, I build features for me. I build like several features that I'm the only one looking at, which is great success. Yeah. Yeah. But the point is that it's a different approach when you're evaluating in an ongoing business between features that you're going to build or verticals that you're going to enhance your product offering. And it's something when you try to build something from scratch. When you try to build something from scratch, you have to evaluate completely the end user, okay? Whereas when you have an operation, it might be internal clients that need a feature and it might improve their productivity, for example. If you change the way you fill in your menus, for example, you might not need 300 employees, you might need 30. So it's an internal
plus automation,
automation, etc. Whereas if you do like a search function to find your preferred meal, it's a client-facing feature. Okay. So deciding on what you build and like planning on what needs to be done has become a very, very important and difficult, let's say, procedure within each organization because there are different stakeholders. In most companies, the one that shouts more gets things done, which is tragic because it's just based on the personality of the person asking for the features. If you push heavily, you get what you need. I have rarely, if ever, seen some product features being evaluated a priori. So let's say we're going to build a specific feature like a filter in one, like category.
Okay.
And we want to build that. And we build that because you like it, I like it as well. The CEO likes it, the stakeholders like it, users want it as well. How many of your users actually use it? Do you keep track of that? So practically, it doesn't matter if one user or two or somebody that was heard in a customer support chat asked for it. You have to keep track of how many people asked for that. You have to evaluate it, and after the fact, do a projection that I'm doing this feature, and by the end of the quarter, I will have 100,000 users using it, or 5% of my users, So it becomes like an opinion what we're gonna build, in product development, and what kind of features. It usually, from what I've seen, it's an opinion. It's rarely driven by analyzing, let's say, data for one, and most importantly, even if you decide to build on that, I have never seen a post-mortem evaluation that says, okay, we spent 3 months building a super duper feature, whatever. How many people actually use it? How much value it brings? this is an iterative process that cannot be, like adapted day one. But at the end of the day, when you're building something, you have to know how many people are using it. 5 out of 10 developers and product owners might have never visited Google Analytics. True story. I don't know. Who has never used analytics from, let's say, everybody has used analytics.
Half of you I know you, so I can validate it.
Good. All right, so we're I'm preaching to the choir here. The idea is to understand the value of what we're building, make a projection before we build it for how many users it applies, and at the end of the day, evaluate that and do it as an iterative process.
But it's a different process if you're having a B2C product compared to a B2B.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. B2B, even if one client needs it, we will go ahead and do it. Okay.
Yes.
It's logical. But when you have a B2C consumer and you have volumes, it's a different story. Okay. Also, there are so many things that need to be done in every single minute in every single company that it's really difficult to evaluate what I said in the beginning, the potential value that the product development and the product feature will deliver to the business. So if you end up prioritizing, let's say, to build your landing pages for SEO, one example.
Good example.
Compared to building a filter, search filter, so I can find Spanakorizo in my, okay. The one will bring new customers, acquisitions, revenue, etc. The other one will have one person that asked it in social media happy.
No, it will increase the loyalty of the people. Yeah,
that's an opinion. That's an opinion.
No, it's not.
That's an opinion. But you cannot correlate a mini feature with the lifetime value of a customer in a product.
Yeah,
like,
it's apples versus oranges, but it's not an opinion because in efood, every time we do it, that increases the retention of the users, which is not. It's a different
general retention, but it's not 100% correlated.
That you can sell more Spanakorizo.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not judging the specific thing. I'm just saying that usually in most companies, because marketing is like separated from product, there are so many things on a website, on an app that need to be done in order to get value, traction, traffic, optimize your campaigns, optimize your spend, that are 100% dependent on product, right? Landing pages,
CRM.
CRM, activation, all those things are product. But those are pretty straightforward because we said product, build it, and they will come. That was
the mantra.
The mantra. So, no, they will not come. So practically, when we're building something, and I talk about personal experience now, I've built several features that none of my users know of, like I don't have that many, but we're talking. No, that's a true story. So you have to have a balance there.
Have you killed any feature?
I'm about to kill half of
okay.
No, I don't think.
Okay, because
I'm not there yet, but I will be.
This is a very interesting discussion. How many of the companies are killing features? Because feature sunsetting, as it's one of the terms, it's very difficult. And most of the, let's say, most of the tools out there, for example, Jira, has a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
That I don't know the percentage of the users that are using it, and it's very difficult to sunset a feature and kill it.
Yeah, once you introduce it.
Yes.
Even if it has low usage, it's difficult to get.
Yes. We do it, but we don't do it regularly enough because we have a big user base as well. So even the tiny button has, let's say, thousands of clicks per month.
And then one interesting aspect is like what we were talking yesterday as well about product-led growth. What does that mean?
What is the right time?
Depends. So there's no one answer, I believe, in that. Depends on the feature, the company, the client, who's using it.
So why I'm saying that it's the right time before you spend a lot of money?
Yeah, that would be the idea. Before you spend.
Okay, what actually?
What? What to kill the product? I cannot give you a very.
We killed a couple of features, but mostly we replaced them. So by the time we had an opportunity, and there was, let's say, a fit in order to sunset something, then we did the switch, and we did it like we stopped it. We stopped utilizing it. What?
We should have added someone from Bit to talk about it.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Yeah, the product-led growth.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Who believes that in your company you're doing product-led growth? So anybody here believes that in your company you're doing this? You know, it's like the aspects of that approach.
Yeah.
The idea is to understand, to make your own product.
Sell on itself.
Either upsell an existing customers or bring in more. There are so little examples in the Greek market. Like I don't know if I can name any, but practically it's the way to, it's the most cost-efficient way to grow. If just the product does the work on its own, you don't need marketing spend, AdWords, Facebook, LinkedIn, sell, whatever. You don't need salespeople. You don't need anything. But it's one of the most difficult things to crack. Does any company come in mind? Yeah.
Can you please provide an example?
So, product-led growth. Slack has introduced a feature that kind of you invite another company to join your Slack.
Slack Connect.
Okay. And what did they do? They build a Slack Connect, so you can bring in an entire company within your Slack. And they said it's only for premium paying users. Just this feature, because it was really useful. We would talk to a company and we could connect our Slacks, and then the employees could be there, a place to have our data, etc. It puts on a product-wise, no salesperson, no advertising, nothing. Within their app, they advertise that feature heavily. They just want you to do it without having spent one euro. And then you go into a 40-day trial of a paid version without even asking you. And at the end of the 40 days, they tell you, in order to keep this feature, you have to pay. So I don't know the data, but I imagine that Slack might increase the revenue significantly because they onboarded new companies. They kind of let them try it, and then they said, okay, in order to keep this, you need to be on the paid channel. You were on a trial now. This is one recent example that came in mind, and I kind of noticed it. And when I saw what they've done, I was like, wow, we were like 4 people. We didn't need to pay. We were 6 people. We didn't need to pay Slack, One of the reasons we paid is for that, because we wanted to go with an connect, So these kinds of hacks, in Silicon Valley, it's all the hype, product-led growth, etc. Another, the most important obvious fact, the most obvious, let's say, approach in product-led growth would be for everybody here, the upsell within our app, so people might be using payments, but they might not be using cards. You don't need anything. You don't need money. You don't need super duper advertising. You don't need visuals. You don't need anything. You just need your product to,
You can develop the resources though, to
invest
in this
definitely.
direction, right?
But you need development resources, but you might have them if a priori you would say, okay, I want to get 200,000 people use this card thing that I have on the side and nobody's using it. Then you go and you say, I want to build this, and I believe 100,000 users will use it. Times 3 euro each, etc. I want to build this and make 1 million for the company. It's a different discussion than I like this. One user has requested it, etc., etc.
We do have options as well. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, product-led is all the hype. The idea is to make your product work for you systematically without having to spend a majority, let's say, of.
Yes, yeah. It happens with other verticals as well, but you need to be in a significant, in a certain state. For example, in food, we can promote local shops, which is a new vertical, from users that are already in, but we have a big database that you can drive users there.
No. SEO, in a way, it's kind of product-led growth because your web pages, etc., are perfect. Content plays a role, but the tech implementation is like a prerequisite. It's not exactly what the term implies. Product-led growth is like kind of a member get member could be one, that you get an invitation. When Hotmail launched, it was a free service, And the only thing they did to grow was in its email, they had like a below the signature, get Hotmail, get Hotmail. And
Yeah,
like
send
within
the flow.
months, they got billions of users just because somebody thought, let me put something here so they can, when somebody receives an email, it just clicks and, becomes a user.
Yeah, back in 1995.
It happens, yeah. Same thing. It's
the same.
the logic.
Yeah,
behind it,
logic, yeah. Okay. Yes, this is referred as a growth hacking in general, which is a mix of product and marketing.
I don't have differentiation.
Yeah.
So that
Product is a subset of marketing. I said it.
that's a question I would
The whole
like to
page,
ask.
yeah.
So a lot of people are confused when we talk about product marketing and growth hacking.
Mhm.
So do you see any differences between one and another? How do you basically?
Yeah. I don't know exactly that definitions of those or what we have in mind.
How you?
Yeah,
It might
growth
be the same.
marketing. I don't know. Growth marketing is an umbrella term that could have anything below. So SEO could be, email marketing would be growth marketing. Scraping the competition set.
It's mostly more technical.
Yeah.
So you need to be technical and let's say leverage tech resources in order to do that in the digital era because it can scale faster. But
The growth.
yeah, the growth
The
hacking,
growth hack doesn't necessarily need to be technical in the sense that it might be just an approach that you had and paid off. It's not growth hacking. It's not correlated 100% with technical implementation.
not 100%.
Something offline.
Yeah,
You
but-
could send an email with the traditional email, with a traditional mail, or a pigeon, like a.
Have you seen any pigeon flying with?
I have a lot of pigeons. Maybe they communicate messages,
Okay.
or is it crows? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Most of the growth hacks were technically referred, a referral of Dropbox and all those stuff that are referred as growth hacks best practices are based on technical, let's say, way to amplify your message to the world and scale it faster.
Amplifying is one thing. Getting the right people for your product is another. If, for example, we're in Orpheum, even if you have like the best SEO, it doesn't matter to get traffic from random people. Like there are like 100 companies, you go and find 100 companies. You don't need something surreal. Whereas at efood, you need the volume, so it's quite different.
Yeah.
So in the case of Orpheum, for example, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go.
It might be that you need to contact 1,000 companies. You don't need the technical development to do a growth hack. Growth hack might be, I don't know, I will, in every CEO of those companies, I will send him like something, So even that could be a growth hack, depending on what you're doing. But obviously, we're talking about technical challenges here. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the one that you described yesterday with how to create a good machine of reaching people, reaching the right people. It requires technical knowledge and how will you combine tools in order to create something
but practically it doesn't require something much. So I just described it with words in somebody that is working for 1 year in his life, and he did it. A little bit of Zapier, a little bit of HubSpot, a little bit of communication. It doesn't require like the super hacker.
Yeah, it's okay, but this is the technical.
I don't want. It's not technical knowledge. It's like understanding of be able to learn, because okay, you don't know Zapier, but if you take half an hour and go in and look around, you can make it, It's not, I'm not a developer, I can go there, if this, then that,
There are still companies that do not use it though, and they use people and manual input to do it. So that's why the technical is not that you have to write code, the technical is to think, to productize a solution with existing services, which is not the case.
Yeah.
For many companies.
The majority, yeah. And when we're talking about companies that need to do a digital transformation, we don't go there at all. Okay, we're talking about startups that have like a clean state, no legacies, etc. For a bank to do it, it's like almost possible. But for other companies that were here, startups, etc., it's something that it lies within the day-to-day of the company's things to do.
So Dimitri, you have a question.
What's your opinion about features that requires user interaction? For example, what's your opinion about building a feature in your application
which makes a user to invite another user.
Like a member get member.
I don't know exactly what it would be. For example, in social media, I want to invite my friend in order for my friend to see my life in this social media or in this platform. So, is this a content of growth hacking? And what's your opinion about this? Are they good features?
In general, depending on the situation, but those kind of things have helped a lot of companies grow, like a member get member or things like that.
You said they get what made. That's why I thought about it.
I just
Yes, but it was a nice.
It was a very nice, and like companies like PayPal, they use this mechanism back in the day, and the member get member just skyrocketed their growth like in a few months. They gave $20 to each student. There are other companies because it's like a coupon thing, if you invite somebody.
Like Dropbox, you get extra storage.
Yeah, you get.
Viralux build the whole mechanism based on this concept.
Yeah, it depends on the company. Those kind of things are not for everybody, and they need to be, curated in a way because it's like expensive as well.
Yes, it has a lot of code.
It does. Okay, yeah.
Any question?
At any point, since we are there. No.
No, I just wanted to mention that back at least in 2010 to 12, growth hacking was more about the fast experiments, which wouldn't produce. It was about experimenting out of the processes and the products of the company. Fast experiments, high risk. That was the definition. So I take an engineer, I do a project for whatever it is, for fast acquisition. So it was all about experimenting. But without because market has investment strategy, you have to already know the output and find output. Here you don't know the output, so you're experimenting towards unknown waters, dark waters. So with high risk experiments and fast validation, this is the hacking comes from the fast. So I can do it in 2 days, 3 days, not deliver a campaign with 1 million behind that.
Without resources.
It can be resources, but usually it has to be fast, so you don't have time. So, for example, Groupon had teams. Groupon had teams with one ML, one product marketing, and one backend engineer building experiment, just experiment. And there are other growth hacking which are data related in business. One of the biggest is the acquisition of WhatsApp by Facebook. They had a data problem, how to connect something to the real world. And they needed to acquire users. So by connecting the phone numbers with the real entities and then building the nodes, because when you would go, they would know your phone list because you had WhatsApp. They did a growth hack. They increased their users by something that wouldn't come with limitation. Just by solving this small problem, it was a growth hack because they find a way to do it and they said, let's go buy them. They bought it in one night.
In the early days of Facebook, I read one blog post. Like one of the biggest contributors of growth in the early days was the fact that they would send you an email where your friends had birthdays. Everybody found it useful because it was like the first thing, and they did that. And I don't remember; it was like enormous the number of growth they had because of that one thing. Somebody said, "Okay, let's send an email. We have their dates. Let's send your friends an email." And
they still send.
They still do it, yeah.
If you don't have traction because I have some.
Yeah, definitely. If you don't log in, you will get your friend has birthday.
Which is great. They do CRM. Basically doing CRM.
It's doing CRM, yeah. So what is that? That's a growth hack. That's a product marketing initiative, or somebody just, like in the middle of all those.
Do you want to say something about the starters of marketing? Self-coding.
What? I want to address a little bit what you said. It was very interesting. The experimentation part is like when the two, let's say, disciplines come together. I believe that's one of the most important aspects. In marketing, if you're doing like performance marketing, experimentation is kind of a day-to-day issue.
Yes,
you run campaigns, new campaigns, it's very easy. But in product, Depends, but mostly landing pages.
Landing pages, copy, images, colors, and all those easy stuff because it's technically possible to do that kind of job. But if you want to launch something and have, let's say, 3 months experiment to evaluate, it's very difficult. And most of the companies that are doing it good, say Booking, they do have their own solution to support it because the tools out there optimize the VWO, I don't know, says currently live. They have limited capacity of the things that you can do with the platform.
I have a question. So we've been talking about products and user acquisition and growth hacking. So let's say, for example, that you're starting a new company. Well, you might be closer to that. What would be the first things that you would try to have within the product team in order to acquire faster any user, any customer?
Yeah.
What would be the tools that you would use?
Hire marketers.
Before that, let's start understanding, let's say, the pain and the issues that you're trying to solve for. So if you're building something without addressing a specific issue, a specific pain of a specific user, you might be building in the dark. So before you go out spending money to get traffic, because it's traffic, you need to understand what you're building and for whom and what kind of problems and like headaches you kind of address for them. So if you don't have that, this is a prerequisite. It's like it would be, if you don't do that, you would be, except the case you have like very, very in-depth vertical expertise and you're building something that you know. That's not the case, that's very rare. Most of the case, you're building something that you kind of know. So getting product feedback from the potential users initially and understanding in depth their pain and what you're trying to solve and like matching those is really important. But there comes the situation of what kind of people to talk to, you know? Now that I've been building my company over the past like a year and a half, I've talked to 150 different companies. I have it in the CRM and I know it. So like meeting after meeting after meeting. It took me a year to realize that like, oh, wow, like 90% of them are unqualified, you know? They say, I talk to them, I present the product, the offer and say, wow, it's amazing, it's la 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 la. But at the end of the day, they are qualified because they don't meet the criteria that I have set for my, you know, offering. So if I ask somebody on the street, what do you think about this, compared to getting one of the actual users that we're going to be using it, it's completely different. Obviously, huge difference between B2B and B2C. B2C, you can do the experiments at scale, it makes sense. But when you're doing B2B, you need to have feedback from the people that are relevant to what you're selling, not anybody. And in the beginning, when you're building something from scratch, you have a vague idea of who you're building it for. So a vague understanding. But then as it matures, you kind of have to cut away your persona. So it's not for him, it's not for you, it's not for you, it's not for you, it's not for you, until you find the ones that you build for. This is in the beginning. Completely different with your case that you have like 1 million users.
Yeah, but even there are personas there.
Definitely.
There are people that do not have phone, which exist. My mom does not have phone. There are not our personas. People that don't have internet. You remember the why?
Yeah.
People that do not have internet. There are people that do not have it. These are out of scope as well. But the rest of the personas are, you know, we build a service for the mass. But even for the mass, there are people that out of efood's scope.
Yeah, it's like the Pareto. You have like 20% of the users doing like a
yes,
pretty much.
For us, it's different because the 80% of users are already
right. Yeah, this is a mature market, so you have like a penetration full penetrate.
Yes.
But when we begin, if you remember, actually, even in the marketing, when you're doing marketing initiatives, you have to understand the personas and who you're talking to. Okay. So let me give you an example about the gaming we did. Remember?
Yes.
You wanna? So the idea is that we did a little when we were like 300 orders, something like that. Now it should be like 200,000 or something. We saw what kind of people there are buying, and I kind of did like a creepy thing where I found their emails, went in their Facebook profiles, you know, and I found like out of the 50 people like that, the top spenders, like 15 were gamers, you know? And I was like, gamers, yeah, it's so obvious. Let's focus a little bit of our marketing spend in gaming. We build the tournaments and stuff like that in the gaming community. And I just saw an interview from the CEO of Twitch, who happens to be also the CEO of Y Combinator. He was talking about the development of Twitch when they were building a service for like streaming video. And they were building for like 3 years, etc. And they had some usage from like gamers, you know, but they never paid any attention to that, like nothing. They didn't even know that. They kind of knew it. In the beginning, it wasn't for gamers. And at one point, 2 years in, somebody said, okay, there are like 10% of our users are gamers, and they're using it in this way, you know? And they pulled together 50 people, sat them down from their own users, and it ended up, he was saying it, I'm quoting him, that they didn't need much more. They just need like 2 or 3 features. That was like a week's work for them. So they kind of, by doing the focus group, by understanding their data, who uses their product actually, analyzing it, bringing them in a table, in a focus group, or doing any risk, talking to them actually. That's the best approach. You have to talk to your users. One other thing, if you're a product and you don't talk to users, either systematically through flows, questionnaires, etc., or one-to-one, you're selling yourself short because you fail to understand the other perspective. Even if you're a data whiz, a wizard with data, the truth is hidden there, partial truth, you know?
Yeah, because we don't know why.
So,
what happened?
yeah, you don't know why, and you don't know.
It drops, but you don't know why.
You don't know why, yeah. And tweets with that simple, let's say, 1 week sprint that they did, they kind of changed their business and they skyrocketed because it was such an underserved market. And it just came to me because we said about gamers. It was such an underserved market that they were using something that they had built for another purpose to stream their games, and they didn't need even anything. They just changed some wordings, one feature, etc., and it skyrocketed up from that point. So that's a product growth thing.
Yes.
You know, you go into your product, see how they use it.
They pivoted the business based on the insights.
And not much of a pivot. They just serve the market, you know, better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you expand a little bit on the use of the persona as an asset, as an input asset in the process of designing our product, and how it's been used commonly or not by marketing and product?
Yeah.
And what phase?
You know, both product and marketing are working with personas. Marketing.
Are they the same? I mean,
it depends, because like on the marketing, you're trying to get like the market personas, so you broaden your scope a little bit and try to understand the specifics of it.
Yeah, because you need to reach them.
You need to reach them. That's the point.
But in product, there are already products. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's the basic difference. So there are different types of segments in our user base or our clientele that have different types of needs. So if you're a company that serves, I don't know.
Let me give you an example with food. There are marketing personas like gamers or students, and there are product personas, people that reorder their coffee, or people that discover new flavors, which is irrelevant with gamers and if you are a gamer or not. So it changes on the intention because you are already within the product. So one is for reach and the other is for the conversion.
how about the initial design? If we talk about the case where you're designing from scratch.
That's very interesting. From scratch, building your personas, right? That's what you're.
When you're after designing a new thing,
right.
Something that nobody is using yet.
Okay, so trying to figure out who might be using it would be the first thing, right? So kind of different if you're into B2C or B2B. Totally different, because B2B within a company you have like decision makers, influencers, people that are buying, people that use the product but they don't have the money, you know. So if you're in BI, for example, you might be using something but you don't have the budget to pay for it, you know. Whereas the CEO can do like that and he won't be using it even once, you know. So different in B2B and B2C. B2C, in the B2C, you try to find people that have common characteristics as a behavior, not as a demographic. It's very important. So an iPhone 14, it might be purchased by a 16-year-old, but also from somebody that's 60 years. Not about demographics. It's about patterns of behavior. So iPhone, for example, I don't want to insult anyone, but you want to kind of of course not. I'm not a victim of
I am a victim of what you're going to say, but I don't have a...
Not a victim of jobs.
Okay.
No, this is the absolute marketing utopia that has been built around Apple, and I kind of refuse diligently to use it. So,
is it because it's done so perfectly?
it's so good that
It's boring. It's boring to have that kind of perfect product. So we prefer something.
It's that good.
No. Yeah, when we're talking about B2B, obviously the type of market kind of drives the persona, so who you sell to, but also you have to build for the different stakeholders within a you have to take into consideration when you're building somebody, who will be buying it, who will be using it, who pays for it, who is like an advocator for advocates for the usage. They're not the same people. So one would be segmenting by type of usage or by company, targeted company. So it might be, I don't know, Sony Entertainment, but might be a niche, I don't know, studio, whatever. So it's not the same. You won't sell the same way to a company that has like 10 people with a corporation that is like 200 years old.
Yeah. B2C is different though.
Totally different, yeah.
Yeah, but there are the segmentation of personas, and you have to go and ask people. In general, you can do from best practices. So for the food, let's say you can use your common sense as well, who might use it, and then do the segmentation and understand how you are going to interpret the data. Back in time, we had even data from Google Analytics that had specific segments, which helped us understand what is happening, because analytics incorporates user data from outside of your product as well. So it's a mix and match of practices that are generally known. And as I said before, you can use your common sense as well. For example, in efood, we are heavy users as well, so we can provide input as well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a B2B product, it's quite complicated because the whole thing during the customer interview process, you need to have well-defined questions, open-ended, so you can understand more than you're looking for, and then try to find the patterns and the insights, and then try to build the solution. Because if you have a predefined solution, you will think that everything is a nail and you have the hammer, and it won't work.
Yeah.
Any question?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, you go, Valeris.
Before you said that the product and marketing are correlated.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the causality of the failure. Do you have any example in the efood that the marketing sabotaged the success of the product?
Marketing? Yeah, there are several examples of that, not in efood, in general. A funded startup that has like a lousy product, like you go in and you cannot even sign up. There are cases like that. You go to sign up and the mobile flow does not use it. Does not, you cannot sign up through mobile, just like that. Okay, in your product. You have a product and you didn't take the proper, diligence to do your mobile well. Okay, so marketing says, okay, we have funding. Let's start spending.
Let's spend $1 million.
And you go into LinkedIn, and you go into AdWords, and you go into Facebook, and you bring in traffic. And you bring in traffic, regardless of what kind of the traffic is, you just cannot log in from mobile. You cannot use it from mobile. Over and over I've seen it. Even in my own company it happened. I spent 3,000 in LinkedIn advertising, like just this summer, and I understood. I said, well, why don't they convert? What the fuck is going on here? I should get a lead. And I go into analytics and I see like 80% is mobile traffic. And LinkedIn doesn't have a selector, so you can say I only advertise on desktop. And then I say, oh, mobile, and I just click the link on mobile. Like I was like, what the fuck is that thing here? And the experience was terrible. So in a way, a lot of resources and marketing spend kind of sabotage the product because I kind of spend it, money, brought in traffic where the product was not ready to accommodate, you know? One example that came in mind. Do you have a specific
Because the opposite direction is obvious.
meaning?
To link, for example, because
Yeah. Marketing might be sabotaging the product in the sense that they don't bring in the people that have the intent to use the service. What do I mean by that? You might be spending a lot of money, like millions and millions and millions in advertising, and you just bring in random people. Or even if the product is a perfect product, if you don't get on your site the people that have intent, meaning they just want to buy that, even if you build the perfect product, and if you have your advertising is targeting my grandmother in television, I don't know, in advertising on TV, like a bit of chat, where only my grandmother, that's not alive, but she would be watching it. And you get on traffic like that, and your product is like targeting, I don't know, like teenagers, for example, or professionals, whatever. I kind of sabotage it. At the end of the day, you say, okay, we had 100,000 traffic, and product did not deliver. It's not the product's fault it did not deliver. It's the fault of the people that were attracted through marketing. They weren't the adequate, the relevant people. That's why search is the most powerful tool.
It's interesting that when Yaola delivery app launched from Hotel, both the examples you just shared happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they had like you couldn't sign in at first before the hearing.
Yeah.
Plus they had national TV ads, and it was all.
It's very fun. It's very fun. This is one example. Is when we started, with free food. We said let's do some TV. Initially, like the first TV we did, and we went to an agency, and their pitch was a little bit traditional, etc. But that wasn't the problem. They were pushing that we should do the same things that 11 is doing. And I told them, listen, wherever 11 is, we don't want to be. Those are the people that are calling for information that you can go. It's crazy. Okay, so because they were pushing it in their entire presentation, this type of advertising you should do, so they were kind of suggesting that we should advertise the same way like them. And in my mind, it was like, no, we need exactly the opposite of that,
The case back then was that most of the supply was in Athens. So if it was a national
Another thing.
Let's use another business. You don't have to talk forever. Now let's use another example.
Yeah. Since we're here and we're both
let's talk about Athens.
And then you try to open the app and there is no vendor.
Yeah. Another example. You have like a location-based business, okay, that offers the services around the radius. And marketing is very, very good, and they go out and decide to do advertising on TV, on radio, on newspapers, magazines, even Facebook, and whatever search. And you can only sell your services within this cycle. And you're advertising there. That's 100% sabotage for marketing. Even if you have the best product,
and it happens because it's a misconfiguration in the SEM, and you target everyone, and it can go.
Even in the decision.
Yeah, even for example, you can use the word delivery, and you can deliver iPhones, which we don't have. If you don't have it on the SEM, everyone who wants to buy and deliver an iPhone will see your ad, and this is not good both for your marketing budget and for the people that will come to your product and see that you are selling pictures.
And the most important sabotage that marketing can do is like make a promise to the client that the product cannot deliver. That's the worst case scenario. Like go out, either sales or marketing, and say, if you sign up with our product, we will solve your.
Let's take one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you build your company and your product, do you I decide that I want to build a product that will do X, Y, Z, regardless of the size of the company, or do you build it with a specific persona, company in mind, and say, I want to solve a marketing problem that's medium, small to medium companies here? Did you put persona first or product?
One of the first things we did was a persona development workshop that lays there. We haven't kind of used it.
Or did you build it for yourself?
That's what I wanted to do. I was a very, very early version of the product and the methodology. I've been using it for 10 years now, while with different, variations, manual, etc. So the story was that I have been using it for my own purposes. I had the need, my teams that we were working with had the need, and I had a very, 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 very early manual version of the product for my own purposes that I have built together with the asanas in previous works, etc. But it wasn't productized. I couldn't offer it to anybody else. So it made sense. I thought that everybody that would be spending money would have the same problems and headaches that I had, And I said, wow, I should do that as a product. It turns out that even within the same niche, people that are handling hundreds of thousands of euros in advertising in SEM, Facebook, do not have the same needs with me. So I thought that everybody needs it at the beginning. I said, oh, if they're doing advertising, yeah, they might be needing, they need it, because I needed it. And at one point I couldn't live without it. So it was like, I have to have my database, I have to have my data model, I have to have my views, But now we're kind of niching down. So it's not for everybody. So if a company does not focus on digital marketing, for example, and like 90% of your spend is TV, you don't need me, So initially I thought it was something that would be applied in different personas that were relevant to what I was doing, performance marketing at that point, SEO, SEM, things like that. And I believed that I have a solution for the market, That was a problem because it led us kind of to build two ways, like on a low end, something for self-service, something for a big corporation, even with the same product, even with the same tech stack, even with the same UX, UI, completely different usage for a niche of that, I don't know, spends 5,000, and from like a big corporation that operates in 50 markets. And so the same product could be addressing the same need, but at the end of the day, it doesn't address the relevant headaches that they have, the relevant pains. So when you're a small shop and you're spending 5,000 a month, 1,000 a month, you don't need to monitor, like granularity and stuff.
There's no granularity.
There's no granularity, yeah. So even if it would be a mistake to over segment and overthink. Whereas if you're spending 1 million a month,
you need granularity.
You need the data sets.
To give you an example of granularity in food, there are flows, product flows that have 80% conversion rate, 80 out of 100 people are ordering, and there are flows that have 1% conversion rate, 1 out of 10. So within the same product, with the same marketing and the same everything, there are different flows that produce significantly different results. So we need segmentation on our case because it's massive and there are a lot of micro flows that you need segmentation in order to see.
Yeah, without the segmentation, you're blind. Okay, having data in aggregate is like whenever I hear what's your conversion rate. This is another question asked by experienced people, CEOs, etc. What's your conversion rate? It's a question that is unanswerable without, as I explained earlier, without segmenting the data. Okay, now, what is my cost? 3%. Actually, people are putting that in like monthly reviews, like the top level 3%.
Yes.
Which is like the worst data point you can have, without context, without anything.
It's not the worst, it's inaccurate.
It is accurate. Out of 100, 3 do what you want. It's an aggregate. So all data in aggregate is crap. Okay. If you don't have the ability to segment, find common characteristics, it's useless practically. You might be better off acting on a hunch. When you hear people referencing data unsegmented, it's something that is just want to justify their opinion. It's not that they did an analysis. Okay, if you don't segment, you get nothing. Right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that product's part of marketing in your definition. But if we separate the two, what would you recommend if you have examples as well to do first? Would you build a product and then market it, or would you market a product that you don't have yet so that you know to build it?
Depending on your resources and where you're going after. If you don't have any resources, get first the clients and then build. You know?
Has that happened with a feature that you built out?
It happened with my company. I signed up like 2 or 3 customers with a manual, semi-manual thing, and then we build it.
There is a case with Instacart.
Right.
There was the first page, because there was no product, was that we are going to launch flexible leasing. So you get subscribed in order to get to know when this is going to be launched. And it was a very good method for validating the lead management as well and how it will cost. So back in 2018, it worked and it generated not significant amount, but it was good enough to understand that there is market fit here. So let's double it down.
Yeah, this question actually is very important. The out-of-the-box question, if you go in this library, check any startup book you will find, is like first get the market understanding and then start building. So if you build it, they will not come because you haven't done the validation, you haven't talked to your customers, you didn't do some early iterations that could be done when you have feedback from clients. So the ideal scenario would be together to do it, ideally, you know.
Yes.
But if you build in those kind of approaches that I'm building in a vacuum, and I will launch in 2 years, and I'm in stealth mode, in my opinion, are ridiculous. Okay. Even though I ended up building, you know, when I preach, I don't follow always the advice, but the default.
Were you in the stealth mode or you?
Not stealth, but I had clients from.
Yeah, but what if someone signs in and it's full of bugs? And it's better to be stealth.
Wait, it's better to wait. Yes, you don't have to launch.
It depends.
It depends.
On where you are.
But when you're talking about, it depends if you have a limited market. If you are to sell to 20 companies, Sony, you don't go. But if you have like tens of thousands of users, if the first users do not have the best experience, okay, you'll be expected. So it depends. So you don't want to burn your bridges, but at the same time, you need the feedback. So the default, like de facto, let's say, answer is like you need to bring in the clients and the end users as early as possible. As early as possible, because that's what we were saying earlier. If you're like a product guy and you don't talk to your end users, even if it's like a mature product, especially when you're at the early stages, unless you are so confident that you know the market, etc. But that's never the case, you know.
Think of it like if you have a startup and you're fundraising, you need to get investors. So if you go directly to the 5 or 10 investors that a market has, then you burn out. You don't have any other option. If one of them says no, then you lose momentum, and then you go to the next one, and the other one says no. So you have to be sure about your product, and then have the story, so that's where marketing comes in. And try and, you know, show the progress, like we've done X, Y, Z, our traction is growing, and then start building the relationship with them.
Yeah.
More or less, it's with the customer the same thing.
And also, it's not about getting the customers, how can I say? You need the feedback from the customers early on. Even if the product is lousy, you know, it will be in the early releases, definitely. You need a faster validation, you know, especially for the pain you're solving for, to understand the problem better. The majority of the case when you're building something, you have a vague understanding of the problem you're solving. You are iterating on a hands-on, like a belief, and you are asked to build this or you are asked to build that. If you bring in the end users as soon as possible, you could avoid a lot of mistakes. You could avoid, let's say, wasting time on things that won't play out. and you can deliver a better product at the end of the day. And usually the early adopters are the ones that are more valuable. Like if you have 100 people using it, like 3 stick to it, and the product is lousy. I mean, you can upload in, it has $100. The 3 people that are using it are priceless because they need it so much that even if you launch like a crappy product within a week, they will be using it. So they're priceless in a way. So you don't need to be afraid that you will, be associated with some users, except the case when it's like 10 buyers, then you need to go a little bit more concrete. So,
any other questions? We've got time for one more.
Only.
I think there is a term. Sorry, I think it's a term called presentation-driven value.
Yeah.
You do the presentation.
The biggest companies in Greece in technology around mobile, I won't name them, but like I will. Kind of Venti upstream sites like that. And all development houses and people that are like, you go with a PowerPoint, I have this here. Do you want it? Yes. And maybe a super duper demo that kind of has like squirrels operating everything on the back end and people and stuff like that. So you see the demo. When you do project-based work, most people first get the project and then do it,
There are 3 companies that do prototype.
Yeah, prototype.
It's not a Greek characteristic. Everywhere.
No, it's global characteristic.
It's a global one. Come on.
You make a very fast prototype, so the presentation will be wow.
Let's not be
aphoristic. Pages.
Yeah, up only with pages. Remember when back like 10 years ago, we were doing like a mobile CRM notifications platform, and we had like an app where I would go log in my computer and I would press a button and send a notification that opened a web page, like a web view. And it was nothing practical. It was like a week's job with nice design. And in every presentation, I just send a button and the mobile phone would pop up. You would hit it and you would see a fantastic ad, So nothing behind. There was nothing practically. But the presentation layer was fantastic, so we managed to get the first client.
Is this a growth tactic or not?
Kind of sales growth.
If you deliver it, it is.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's a presentation.
But this is very common. It's very common for projects mostly, like the beginning and end.
Do you do it in your presentations?
No, I have so many things that I have already built that I cannot communicate.
Exactly. So, would it be okay to do it in your presentation and then build something if someone needs
Yeah, in theory, yes. I'm saying everybody that I have a budgeting feature and I have a
Okay, I already mentioned that he's building the feature that he wants to use.
Yeah, but
I know, I'm changing. The company from has decided to take the proper approach. Yeah, it was part of the isolation within COVID. I was in front of and I wanted to build. Anyway. Yeah.
I think if there isn't any other questions, we can wrap it up.
Wrap it up. It's very fast. I didn't
The first part. But what kind of tools would you suggest for like doing this fast kind of product development to a prototype like
I would say no code. No code. Like, and APIs that are already made and you can find them. Integrations, why not?
Depends. No, yes. It's sometimes you might only need a design. And sell something. You don't need even demo. Some other cases, building a fast, interactive demo, even Figma can do that.
Yes, Figma can prototype, so you can prototype something only with design.
And then, you can fake it so easily. If you go to a meeting and you have like an interactive demo, nobody will know that you don't have anything.
Yes.
So
good prototype.
This thing is very, very common. It happens constantly,
Notion as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Notion. Yeah, I haven't used it.
Yeah, I use it regularly. Saki?
Anything else?
Yeah, I do have one. So you're starting now. You're starting as a new graduate Will you go for product marketing? Will you go for technical marketing? Will you go as a product manager? What would you do?
As an employee, as
a graduate, yeah.
What kind of organization?
That's a good point. In my at least approach, I would go with an organization that facilitates my development and my growth and my learning. Learning?
Yeah, but this is vague. You can go to a big tech company, let's say, blossom your tech skills, while you can go to a marketing-driven company and blossom your marketing skills.
You can go in a startup and blossom in every single way. Because if you go in a big corporation, you have like a pigeonhole.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a pigeonhole. I'm talking about a recent graduate. You will learn processes. You will learn business, ethics, politics, whatever. But you will be in your pigeonhole and you will learn nothing. And you will just,
protect it.
Okay.
Yeah, pigeonhole in the sense, if you go to a big corporation, even if you have the will, maybe you go into product marketing, they might not give you access to the platforms.
Yeah, but let's define what a big corp might be a bank, or might be a Coca-Cola.
Not that big. Any corporation that has like silos, pigeonholing, getting somebody like a recent graduate. Okay. It's rare that somebody pays attention to their development. I'm not saying that companies do not do it, but I'm saying it's rare. So.
Okay. And regarding skills, you start now. Which is the most important skill?
Which is the most communication skills are the most important. Even if you know everything, if you cannot communicate it.
You mean writing? You mean verbal communication?
Verbal writing, understanding, having empathy, understanding the environment which you operate. So this is a prerequisite, in my opinion. And then that understanding, okay, but it's not a prerequisite. You can do it even without. Technical knowledge, it's ever-ending, and it's like from 100 things that I have learned in my almost 20 years I'm working, 95% of them are obsolete and irrelevant. So it doesn't matter that 10, 15 years ago I learned, I don't know, Photoshop, whatever. And now it's irrelevant, okay. And since the technologies all developers might have kind of experience that, put in a lot, not only in development, in any place, with the rapid change. You put in a lot of effort to learn something, after 4 years, something else.
Yeah, but even that, you know how to learn something.
You know how to learn, yeah, right.
There is always something helpful.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest anyone to go in this business if they don't have a drive towards learning and wanting to learn on their own.
It's not a skill, though. Driving towards learning.
Yeah,
it's not a skill. It's a
characteristic.
It's something else.
In the marketing department, whenever I'm working with somebody, I force them to understand analytics. Like as we were saying earlier, get your analytics IQ test or you're fine.
Yeah, we tried to replicate that in product and it failed because we tried to replicate. You have to
explain what the.
Yeah, let's say that back in time, at least in the initial days of the marketing part of food, everyone in the performance marketing at least should have their Google Analytics test. You have to pass certificate. Yeah, so you have to know what are sessions.
That's a prerequisite to get hired. But since you're here, I don't want to talk to you if you don't pass this test. Talk to me when you have passed.
Yeah, this is the first one. I tried when I went to the product team because I used to work in marketing. I tried to replicate it. So no product manager would come without having experience in Google Analytics, and it failed because product managers, at least in the Greek market, were not in the would like to. So if you ask someone, do you know how Google Analytics works? Okay, if I open a dashboard and I see 1 and 2, I know that 2 is bigger than 1. But this is not how analytics works. And every time we did a deep dive, it was not the case, not because they were bad, but because they developed a different set of skills that help them gain knowledge, and they move forward with their career. And I did some serious mistakes back in time because this was a prerequisite. Now it's not. So you can be a very good product manager without having it, but if you have it,
Pure enhanced.
Yeah, you're enhanced, and you have the, let's say,
Yeah, and it's also within an organization, it makes sense to have complementary skills as well.
Yeah.
So if you have only analytic skills, there's a quote by William Blake, he who converses only in analytics is a waste of knowledge. Okay, so I might be misquoting, but anyway, the idea is that, okay, maybe you need some creative thinking, you need some creative copywriting. Those are important things that need to be part of a team. You cannot expect a designer to know analytics and data.
Yeah.
But there are some specific cases that that understanding is a prerequisite.
They could be like, you would appreciate if they are like
Yes.
curious about the existing design.
If you would be really appreciated.
Yes. This can help you because analytics is not only for the tool. It requires it can help you with the technical knowledge, and it can help you with the analytical thinking.
Yeah.
Which is one of the
business.
And also it's a process.
and the business understanding, but
you cannot get them.
on top.
It's a process. You cannot get them from day one to be interested. If you want somebody to be interested in something, you have to constantly nudge them. So, for example, if you have like 10 designers and they're a creative artist and they don't understand what's conversion rate, maybe if you send them every Monday, our conversion rate is this in this page. I'm just saying the one stupid idea, okay? And you send them a newsletter and you tell them, okay, we had 100 visitors this month, so they probably they don't even know how many people are visiting, you know? They don't know these kind of things. And our conversion rate is in this page, this. One of them might be interested, you know, you have to build that. Because he doesn't know what he does. People do not know what they don't know. Right. So how do you expect them to be interested a priori? But if you ignite that, there are ways. Communication, mostly. I'm not. I'm saying things that I'm not doing.
These are the best practices.
No, I'm doing communication one-on-one, but in an organization, it might be a newsletter. You know, check the newsletter. It might be a quiz. It's like a funny quiz. Let's do a quiz. Whoever scores the best, you know, score gets a dinner from the company house, like a weekend. And then you do, what is a CVR? What is a bounce rate? Well, things like that with the team in order for them to engage them. If you don't, if as a manager you don't take the time to engage your people, and you cannot expect them to have the.
We do that, not in the game way, but we do that in the office. And this is another topic regarding remote and office. Mm-hmm. In remote, it's very difficult to do it, but in the office, where the analysts are sitting by designers and designers are sitting by product managers, it's easier to, let's say, exchange that kind of information that can help you get better context of what is happening, because we cannot do it at least, and I don't know the way to do it remotely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you take into consideration the user sentiment when you have presentation on the web? It's basically the question. Like, do you use, you measure user behavior while you do the segmentation of the personas, calculate, you know, how you improve your recommendation engine, and also do you refine it? Usually 2-3 times a day, but 3 times a week.
Okay.
No.
Because there are people that are using it.
I can answer that. Yeah.
This is my tricky question. I always order home cooked food from my, but 9 out of 10 times I get the lucky piñata, which is like it's cheaper. But I was wondering, like, I eat food. Why are they wasting my time? So this user refinement is it towards loyalty and retention or towards going to it? And are you using user sentiment? Because it kind of turns me off.
Yeah, let me give you an example of this. We had a bug where you could see piñata by the time you would like to order flowers, which a big
I had it before my
order. Compared to your example, the people still ordering, because the problem currently with food is that you don't satisfy your need for hungry. Food have become a more of social, let's say, a behavior. So to your question, there is no clear intention, as you can see by your case in general. We, of course, we can do it better because we don't utilize it as we would like to. But the clear intention that you currently have, if you check your own orders, you will see that there are patterns that you break.
Maybe I misplaced the question. Do you use a sentiment? Like I log in and I would offer 2 seconds. So I have a negative experience, so it's negative sentiment. So if you have 100 people go from, and they look at your recommendation engine, they look for, I don't know, either neighborhood, they look for lucky, and then you can see that, okay, why does this guy have negative experience? How do you optimize this? Do you take sentiment? Because I work on experience, this perspective. This is why I see it in this perspective.
I take my CPRs. I don't know if the other.
It's a positive or negative sentiment. You know, so I completed the task, but I didn't feel so good. So it's a negative sentiment.
How can I measure that?
Because I do the pinata in 0 seconds 100 times. On my 100 items. So you have features, and feature has a flow. And you interrupt, you have an intrusive behavior, which improves your conversion rate, but it doesn't improve my experience.
What if a pinata store that you would like will come up because pinata is changing and we add some
9 to 10 times, no, okay.
Yeah, but I have the same assumption on me because I'm a convenience guy. I know what I want to order, and I check my orders, and I saw that there are occasions that I do not remember because I have a specific pattern, and I break it from time to time. And if you do not see pinata, you won't break it so easily.
In my head, you have like features. And the segmentation is users that like this, users like X food. So if this user orders 100 times food, he doesn't want to have a counter offer or a deal of. It's like I'm a girl and you tell me to buy men's shoes.
You win.
It's not exactly the same.
You win.
Because, yeah.
You know why? Because your boyfriend will have a girlfriend. Yeah, because you said you're a girl. Yeah. Your girlfriend, you will eventually you will need women's shoes because your girlfriend will have birthday and you would want to buy something. Or say, let's say you're a vegan for 2 years and now you switch.
It's a blend.
Yeah.
It's a good part.
It happens.
Sometimes
The sentiment is very
social.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm at the office, I'm going to buy a coffee because I'll keep asking everyone.
It's 2 different scenarios. It's loyalty, retention driven, the business, or is it conversion driven? So I want to sell more, and maybe I get a better percentage if I sell you the pinata, blah, blah, blah. Counterwise, but it is early in the flow. Anyway, I'm a customer anyway. I just had this thing in my head. If you count, that's.
Costa, if I may interject, I have the exact same behavior with pinata, and every once in a while I break it.
Exactly.
And I regret it.
So that's your problem.
So it's focused on conversion.
Yeah.
So it's positive conversion for Costa.
No, it's not.
But I might switch applications on my next one.
So this is a negative sentiment. Do not keep you. This is the worst thing with users. You can never feel the behavior.
That's the question.
There's
How
no
do you
one
measure that? How do you measure
Yeah, how do you measure it? That's
So you were
I said,
dissatisfied.
you have a recommendation engine. You gather data from other applications. You should consolidate all this data to calculate user sentiment.
yeah, but what I mean,
This is
we
not my
calculate
job, this is
everything.
your job.
So let's say I see that everyone that comes to the restaurant league, 80%, let's say, which is a big number, not a true number, but it's a big number, 80% are converted. I think that mostly you're talking for personalization.
I had one new page in my catalog. No one orders anything from my catalog. So, I mean, it's they order something else. So this kind of makes it a negative sentiment. Why am I doing this? I don't like this. I don't like this. You don't need to continue to have this feature. Or if you have, you do, I don't know, you have like 100 customers. They sit in the table and they leave directly. Maybe it's the waiter that's having causing bad behavior, or is now the music. or it's the marketing, or the photography, but something is wrong.
How
So
do
you
you-
need more data around this. You need to take all this data, consolidate it, watch the users.
We do that,
Yeah.
but we're talking for a massive user base, which the intention changes all the time. Because now you want flowers, then you want souvlaki, then you're with your girlfriend, you want to eat sushi. So
Okay, it's you can see how fast the user is performing the action, like 100
Today.
sessions.
today,
100 sessions.
what about tomorrow?
No, the last 100 sessions. If he makes it like in 1 minute, and then you introduce a new feature, he makes it 5 minutes, it's going to be a negative sentiment because the brain works in 2 ways, slow and fast. If he takes him 5 minutes to complete the same procedure. It's not the optimal.
Not necessarily.
All right, I think this is a really nice discussion
Yeah.
to have at the networking session. So I think we can call it a night.
They have already eaten all the pizza.
No,
There's
no,
more.
it's,
Don't worry, don't worry.
for the whole.
It's not as hot as it was an hour and a half ago, but I'd like to thank George and Konstantinos for the. I'd like to thank you for coming here and see you in our next event, probably in a month from now.
Okay. One disclaimer for the slides. This one is from Lenny Ratsiski and it's product growth framework. Half of the elements are